I have this huge number on the screen which is 4 followed by 17 zeros. If someone asks me to write this number, I would simply write it as 4 times 10 raised to 17, which is exactly equal to this huge number. Isn't this number easy to read and write? So guys, let's take a look at the scientific notation. Scientific notation helps us to express extremely large or extremely small numbers into manageable size. And this is exactly how a number in scientific notation looks like. A times a 10 raised to n, where a is the multiplier and 10 raised to n is known as power of 10. So a number in scientific notation always consists of two parts, that is multiplier and the power of 10. And don't forget this little condition for multiplier, that is the value of a should always be between 1 and 10. Now let's look at this problem which says convert each number into scientific notation. So we are asked to convert all this standard notation to scientific notation. So let's convert this one. So the first step is to spot the decimal point, which is right here in this case. Now the next step is to move this decimal point between 4 and 1. 1, 2, 3. So now the decimal point comes here, and which becomes 4.12875 times 10 raised to 3. The power of 10 is positive because we are moving the decimal 3 places to the left. Now is this number in scientific notation? Yes, it is, because it has two parts, that is multiplier and the power of 10, and this multiplier is also between 1 and 10. Now let's convert this one. So the first thing, always spot the decimal point, which is here in this case. Next thing is to move this decimal point between 2 and 4. So 1, 2, 3. So decimal point gets here, and which becomes 2.48 times 10 raised to negative 3. The power of 10 is negative because we are moving the decimal point towards the right. Now let's look at this one. So the first thing is to spot the decimal point. Since we know the decimal point are immediately after the ones digit, which in this case would be right after this digit 2. So the next thing is to move this decimal point between 8 and 9. 1, 2, 3. So now decimal point gets here, which becomes 8.932 times 10 raised to 3. The power of 10 is positive because we are moving the decimal point towards the left. Now let's convert this one. Identify the decimal point, which is right here. Next thing is to move it between 3 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. And which becomes 3.204 times 10 raised to minus 4. The power of 10 is negative because we are moving the decimal point towards the right. So the key take-home message while converting a number from standard notation to scientific notation is that if numbers in standard notations are greater than 1, then its power of 10 will be positive while converting to scientific notation. And if the numbers in standard notation are less than 1, its power of 10 will be negative while converting to scientific notation. So guys, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more of these videos in future. Let's look at this next problem which says convert each number into scientific notation. So let's convert this one. First, spot the decimal point, which will be immediately after the ones digit in this case. Next thing is to move this decimal point between 4 and 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it becomes 4.02086. Need not write this last two zeros because there is no digit after these zeros. Times 10 raised to 7. Now let's convert this one. So the decimal point is right here. Move this decimal point between 6 and 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, which becomes 6.072 times 10 raised to negative 4. Negative 4 because we are moving the decimal towards the right. Now let's convert this one. Spot the decimal point, which is right here. Move this decimal point between 4 and 0. So 1, 2, which becomes 4.08086 times 10 raised to 2. Positive 2 because we are moving the decimal point towards the left. Now this one. Spot the decimal point, which is right here. This number is already between 1 and 4, so you do not have to move the decimal point. So its scientific notation would be 1.4807 times 10 raised to 0. Raised to 0 because we are not moving this decimal point anywhere. So you see here, the numbers greater than 1 are associated with positive powers of 10, while the numbers lesser than 1 are associated with negative powers of 10. And the number that is between 1 and 10 is associated with the power of 0. Let's look at this another problem which says convert each into standard notation. Are this number in scientific notation? Yes, it is, because it has two parts. There's a multiplier and the power of 10. And all these multipliers are between 1 and 10. So let's convert this one. So for this, first write this multiplier 2.86. Now move this decimal point depending on the power of 10. So in this case, you will move this decimal point 4 places to the right because the exponent is positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the decimal point is here. And fill these places with zeros. So it becomes 28600. So this is in standard notation. Let's convert this one to standard notation. First write the multiplier down, 2.86. Depending on the exponent of 10, you'll move this decimal point either to the left or right. Since it is negative 4, so we'll move this decimal point 4 places to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And fill these places with the zeros, 1, 2, 3, which becomes 0.000286, and then you can have 10 before the decimal. Let's convert this one to standard notation. First write the multiplier down, 4.8062. Since the power of 10 is positive 3, so we'll move this decimal point 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, which becomes 4806.2. Let's convert this one. First write the multiplier, 2.6. Since the exponent is negative 5, so we'll move this decimal point 5 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the decimal point is here now. And fill these places with zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which becomes 0.000026. And you can have 10 before the decimal point. So positive powers are associated with numbers greater than 1, while these negative powers are associated with number less than 1. Let's look at another problem which says convert each into standard notation. So let's convert this one. First write the multiplier down and spot the decimal point, which will be right after this ones digit, that is 5. Next thing is to move this decimal point 5 places to the right because the power of 10 is positive 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the decimal point is here now. So I can fill these places with zeros, which becomes 50000. Let's convert this one to standard notation. First write the multiplier down, which is 5 in this case, and spot the decimal point, which is right here. Now move this decimal point 5 places to the left because the power of 10 is negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the decimal point is here now. And you can fill these places with zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which becomes 0.00005. And you can have 10 before the decimal point. Let's convert this one. First write the multiplier down, which is 3.402. Now move this decimal point depending on the power of 10. Since the power of 10 is 0 here, so we'll not move this decimal point anywhere. So which will be as it is, 3.402. So positive powers are associated with number greater than 1, while this negative power is associated with number less than 1. And the power of 0 indicates that it remains the same. So let's look at this last problem, which says which number is greater in each. So to compare the number in scientific notation, first compare the power of 10. And if the power of 10 are equal, then you compare the multiplier. So for the first one, let's look at this power of 10, that is 10 raised to negative 3 and 10 raised to negative 10. Which one is greater? Since 10 raised to negative 2 is greater than 10 raised to negative 3, so this number is greater. Which one is greater in this case? Look at the power of 10. 10 raised to 6 and 10 raised to 6. Since the power of 10 is equal, now look at this multiplier. Which one is greater? 1.5996 or 2? Since 2 is greater than 1.5996, therefore this number is greater than this one. Let's look at this one and let's compare the power of 10. Since 10 raised to 5 is greater than 10 raised to 4, so this number will be greater than this one. I hope this video is helpful and thank you for watching.